Oh, you do back with another Excalibur video, and this one is specifically about Umbra. So to preface a lot of this, I've been in Excalibur main since the beta, and because I've been playing Excalibur since the beta, and when I started playing Excalibur, I had bought Founders back. I've been playing basically nothing but Excalibur Prime until pretty much Warrior's Rest Augment was added. When Warrior's Rest Augment was added, I've spent time on Excalibur Umbra to sort of make it okay. Well, he's at least viable now for most people to be able to use him, with a caveat. But since the addition of Warrior's Rest, I haven't really tried removing it until Techrot Encore. And there definitely seems to be some wrong information out there, even on the official wiki. The official wiki is just simply wrong about the way that his sentience, the bugs associated with his sentience mode. And so that's what I'm hoping to clarify a bit here. And I've done a lot of testing to determine some of these variables on it. So we'll start off with demonstrating this, and demonstrating one of the primary bugs, which seems to be prolific still, is that when you go into sentient mode, Excalibur Umbra Spectre does not cast or decast Exalted Blade. It just simply isn't the case. Some of the limitations of that and the nature of it is that he does have a starting energy in his own separate energy pool. So he has his own energy pool, and then he has his own starting energy. And the ways that you can increase his starting energy pool and his starting energy is the same ways you do it everywhere else. And there's pretty easy ways around that. Because what actually happens when he, let's say, when he loses Exalted Blade as a Spectre, it's actually because he's running out of energy. And I'll demonstrate how I've been able to determine that. So just showing here, he still has Exalted Blade. At about a minute into that, he'll sit down. And then about another minute after that, so about 2 minutes. In this current build, with the negative efficiency and the negative duration that I have in this current Affliction build, it even goes up to 2 minutes for that. When, you know, noting that this isn't an Exalted Blade build. You're not really running Exalted Blade. This is primarily a slash dash build with Exalted Blade as a sort of backup, a really high damage backup. And then what I'll show after this, after he sits down, and probably a good bit into that, I'll transfer in just so you can see, like, hey, I didn't run out of energy. He actually ran out of energy. I'll show what happens when he attacks enemies, when he starts using abilities like Wrathful Advance, when he starts using Slash Dash. This time will not be 2 minutes, to put it simply. So, there you go. There he goes and sits down. That was probably a little over a minute. Kind of felt a little longer than a minute, but timestamps don't lie on the video. So just this is quite a long time, at least over a minute. So I'll transfer back in. You notice they still have Exalted Blade drawn. So what I'll show here now, I actually won't even, you know, we'll fill our energy. It seems when you get starting energy, it seems to not be dependent on what your current energy is. I don't know if, like, if you're below what his supposed spawn energy is, if you're below that, if you don't get the higher value, or if it's just, you know, you at least get X amount every single time you transfer in and out. So we'll let him do his thing, and we'll definitely see that there he just spent 100 and some energy. He just spent another 38. And there's another 38 energy. And now he's AFK. Oh. There's some more. So you can see he hasn't decasted, or Exalted Blade is still drawn right there. And I'll even transfer in so you can see this. So see, I still have Exalted Blade. But I've spent approximately 200 energy, even on my Warframe. That's not including what he spends casting Radial Javelin, since that doesn't appear to be a part of that. So the Spectre has his own energy pool, he has his own starting energy, and that seems to be the cause of when you lose Exalted Blade when he's in his Sentience mode. So, and I'll demonstrate, eventually he'll run out of energy. Eventually. There was a period where when I was testing this, I gave him Preparation, I gave him primed flow. I gave him arcane battery with triple umbra mods, and then super high duration, like over 300% duration, and I went AFK for 10-15 minutes, came back, and there you go, he just decasted it. But in that scenario, he didn't even decast it in that time frame. So notice I did not run out of energy, so I have 310 energy, so it's not like I'm running out of energy, which is the scenario. Like, if you run out of energy on your normal Warframe version of Excalibur Umbra, it will decast it when he's in a Spectre. So you kind of have these two energy pools that are fighting each other. One that is only active when he's in his sentient mode. And just to demonstrate this, so I haven't picked up any energy. I'm going to let's get away from a lot of this, and I'm gonna pull it out, and we're gonna sit here, and we're gonna let him. Well, I was hoping he wouldn't do that, but we'll. One thing I did test, and this is so his Spectre doesn't pick up energy orbs. But one thing you can do, and I tested this using these little energy orb drops with a clanmate. If someone has energized does proc and give his Spectre energy, so then he can perpetually maintain his energy pool with someone else giving him energy. Vamp didn't work, so energy vamp from Trinity didn't work because he has an active channeling, and energy vamp and channeling don't work. You know, same with like any energy per second. So giving him arcane energized from teammates, that does work. You can get infinite energy on a Spectre that way. But also, I think the easiest way to do this is just having starting energy. So just showing here, I haven't picked up any energy orbs, so I only had like 300 energy going into it. And he still has it out. Oh, there he goes. And notice I have very low energy, but I'm not out of energy. One thing I'll show here. So just in this scenario, his Exalted Blade was lasting in excess of minutes, you know, in about 2 minutes when I was timing this. So I'm going to cast, get his energy pool very low. Oh, dang it. Well, now I can't cast Exalted Blade. We'll fix this real quick. Very easy to drain his energy in this build. Okay. So now the limitation is going to be Umbra's energy pool, or Umbra as a Warframe, not Umbra as a sentient. So now I'm only at 20 energy, and this should decast pretty quickly, because it won't take very long for him to drain 2.5 energy per second. And there you go. So, just to even reiterate on that point, we'll pull out Exalted Blade. And let him do his thing. And to just reiterate again, this scales off of everything that normally scales Exalted Blade, like your duration, your efficiency. Those aren't snapshotted at all, so those are conditional bonuses. And then what he's casting. So if he decides to cast other ability, that's why it's lasting longer here than it was while he was out doing some murders. When he's out doing some murders, it can only last like, you know, if you don't have any starting energy, it's about 8 to 10 seconds that it takes for him to burn through all his energy. It's a lot longer if you just increase his starting energy. So, perfect example right there. So, what I'll at least show, because I don't think I've shown this yet, is this is how I'm doing that. So, instead of having 2 effectiveness on energy orb shards that I would normally have on this build, all I did was change this. And so that's all you need to do. And you can get 2 of them if you want. If you're really sensitive about, if you're very sensitive about his starting energy and not having Exalted Blade decast. So let's say you are running an influence build and you want to maximize this. Don't run Blind Rage. Don't run Blind Rage at all for that. So run like Furious Javelin. I can't even equip it to show you because I haven't been testing this. This isn't really worth it, but there's some weird stuff about that I'll talk about. But just run Furious Javelin instead, and then you can even run Battery if you want. Get his energy over 900, and then have 2 of these shards. If you have 2 of these shards, like let's say you forgo these crit damage Archon shards, which if you're running in power, you might be doing that anyways, just because they're not going to scale as well. And then getting 90% max energy on spawn. This Spectre will last, you know, it'll last several minutes instead of just lasting 2 minutes, even if it's casting abilities. So that's kind of the ways around that. To sort of conclude it, it has to do with the simple fact that the Spectre has his own energy pool. And so you maximize his energy pool, or at least mitigate it being limited by... And the other thing to reiterate too is that it doesn't appear to be the energy pool he gets doesn't appear to be like 600 some. It's almost as if it scales. It does scale off of prime flow and those sorts of things, but it seems like it's base, like it's only 150 or so, and not the 225 or even like 105. In the testing I was doing before, it was very hard to determine what his starting energy pool was. Might be able to figure out the math after some time, but that's kind of the easier way around it. So the thing you don't want to do, just to reiterate on what I discussed in a lot of my other builds, what you don't want to do is get your energy so efficient, like using increased efficiency. It's part of the reason why impetus is, you kind of have to use blind rage for impetus when you're running that build. So you don't want to become so efficient that you don't have enough shields to be able to survive through casting radio javelin and other stuff. So you kind of need some negative efficiency to be able to run this, or at least not at least baseline. If not baseline, some less than 100% efficiency. So 100% or less, pretty much. Because otherwise you run into this problem, especially if you're running Furious Javelin. Since if you're not running Blind Rage, you're probably running Furious Javelin, unless you swap it for this. But you just become too efficient to where you actually can't even survive casting through Radio Javelin before your shields are gone and you get one tapped, especially past like level 1000. So, yeah, if there's anything that you think I've missed, anything you don't think I've shown in demonstrating this principle with the way his sentience works, I still consider it fixed as a bug. I don't know how they would work around this. I guess if they just made this Spectre's energy pool just infinite, like they just scaled it to 9,000, you would still it might take 60 minutes, kind of like I mentioned in my previous video. It might take 60 minutes for that to occur, but in this case, that simple change seems to mitigate this problem by enough to where it's not really an issue. The other thing is we have to consider is when he's doing this and enemies are actually attacking him with just that plus 45 starting energy in the rest of the normal build, he's more likely to die where he now is just like kneeling down. He's more likely to have that occur before he runs out of energy, even when he's casting abilities. It's just in this scenario where he's not taking damage that he will eventually run out of energy and then have Exalted Blade removed. Not decasted, but removed. Like right there, he just occurred. And I can show this as well, where I could probably keep doing this for quite a while before it, probably before I run out of energy as a Warframe, then running out as a Spectre. I guess another weird bug that I guess I'll mention is, and I don't know if anyone else has seen this, maybe this is some data collection point here for anyone who's listening at this point. When you run in this scenario, let's say if I'm running the chromatic build, I can't demonstrate it in the simulacrum, but in real missions, the emissive color is wrong and the emissive energy is wrong on Exalted Blade. So this was happening in 1999 missions. I had Exalted Blade drawn on my influence build, and the emissive color. So like if you look at Exalted Blade, the emissive color that's coming out of it, or the energy from it, is actually what the emissive color is when you're running Chromatic Blade. And it's supposed to be electric. There's no other configurations that I have that are electric, or that are not electric, but then it's heat when I'm in 1999 missions and in other missions. So some data collection points on that. If you happen to know why that is, it seems to be a bug. That seems to be a major bug that might be worth reporting and sort of investigating into. He doesn't appear to proc influence at all as well. That might be a little OP. And notice I still have tons of energy. So that might be a bug worth reporting. I kind of need some more data collection on that since it's only a sample of one. If anyone else experiences that, just kind of notice if you're running my influence variation of this without Warrior's Rest, look at the emissive color, it'll actually be the... I'll demonstrate that, just so you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll demonstrate it with what it's supposed to look like. So right here, if you look at Exalted Blade, notice how it has little electrical effects on it. So those little electrical effects, that's based on the emissive color. There's a point of contention with it where people don't like that because visually, if you're running something, it might not match, whatever. But if this is not electric when it's supposed to be in a real mission, for me, it's been heat. Let me know in the comments if you happen to see that, and I hope to collect some data on that. That might actually be a bug that needs to be reported and fixed to not have it's modded fully for electric. It has like 2 electric mods on it, but then in mission it's doing heat. It's not doing radiation, it's doing heat. So it kind of doesn't make sense. Like, it's not applying the mods on your Exalted Blade to the Spectre. That could be a pretty big buff. That could actually make Umbra better than Prime by a lot if this Spectre was using a fully modded Exalted Blade. So maybe we can fix that. So yeah, thanks for watching.